So is having a website still really important today? Is it something you should be considering for your business, or is just having Google My Business now going to be enough to get inquiries from local people? Well, we're going to look at that. We're going to see that also over 50% of actions taken on Google My Business end up going to your website. So websites are really important. We're going to see how to use them for your Google My Business listing. Hi, I'm Zane from Zanet Design, and I've been involved in web design for over 20 years, and I'm currently using my experience to try and help you grow your business. So make sure you subscribe, and then that's going to benefit your business, and you're going to see how your business can really grow with me as you go through the videos and as you start to use them to help build up your listings and your rankings. So today we're looking particularly at the thought of having a website. Now, for years, businesses just had websites. And then in more recent times, there's been free types of websites, different types of listings, there's different indexings. And now in the last few years, Google My Business has become a real main player when it comes to your business. And so more shops and services than ever before are now concerning themselves with claiming their business on Google Maps through Google My Business, and then making sure they're getting inquiries. But what types of inquiries do you receive? Do you get inquiries through just phone calls? Is it through this new request a quote button that you can have on your website for certain services? Is it through visiting your website? Or is it some other form? Well, we're going to look at those different forms, different ways in which you can get contacted by your potential clients. And we're going to see that having a website is still really, really important. So let's take a look now and see and answer some of those questions and look at some of the facts and figures.
So back in the summer of 2019, Bright Local explored the idea of what would it be like if you looked at listings of 45,000 anonymous local businesses. What would we learn from that? And this was one of the things they found, and the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is that if you feel you don't need a website, well then this may change your mind. So here is the proportion of customer actions per Google My Business listing. So when someone takes an action, then basically it was recorded. You notice here that we've got website visits 56%. So the majority, over half, is people then go to a website. And I'll show you in a minute where they go to and how they do that. And also how you can actually have a website built for you that will actually be free as well on Google My Business. So there's a video for that actually, which I'll put up now in the information above. It's called What is Google My Business Website, and it's a tutorial there of how you can build your free website if you wanted to do that. We'll see that a bit later as well. Now, secondly, you notice that then you've got calls, 24% through calls, and that generally is through the Google website itself, because generally it's very difficult for Google to know whether the phone number's just been taken from the website or taken from the listing even on Google My Business, and that the person has just dialed it directly. So for it to be a link through, then the only way that happens is through Google's website. So I'll show you that in a moment. And then also direction requests as well. That's more to do with Google Maps. So when people click on directions, it registers that. So ultimately, your website is still very much the big thing that Google My Business is using to take people through to, so they can then contact you and then contact you for obviously an inquiry or maybe a quote. But I think the business quote button, which is a new thing that's been released this year, I think that's going to change things, and probably in a year or two's time this diagram may look a bit different. So let's look at these three actions: a call, website and direction, and also the business quote button. Let's take a look at these. So here we have the emergency plumbers of New York. So this is just randomly picked just to see what we can see from our discussion so far. So if we take, these are adverts, if we take, say, this one here, click on this, Brooklyn Emergency Plumbing Squad, and there what we see here is if I click on website, then that will record as a website view. So that's the website. So if I do that, let's just click it. That just opens up, and then you've got your website there. Okay, so that's your website record, which is the 56% that we saw. For the directions then, so some of these have directions, some don't. So you notice this has got directions, this one doesn't, this one does. If I click on directions, that will then record a direction, and it shows me how to get there from England. So that would be the direction quote. I'd have to take a flight. And then the other one is regarding the phone number, and this is the one that I think is tricky for Google My Business to record, because that's not a clickable link, and therefore there's no way of them knowing whether I've just stuck that in my phone and dialed. So that's the one that I think is going to be difficult for people to know. But I did notice on this one, here for their website, so this is an ad, but for their website, they don't use a standard website. So if we go to this website here, it's a standard website. A web designer's done it. Just to say, if you do need a website, that's obviously what I do. So you know, zanetdesign.co or zanet.co.uk, and you can then give me a call or contact me on my contact page if you want me to design you a website that's going to work well with Google My Business. So the majority of these are websites. They've had website designs. Perhaps some are not mobile friendly, which is what I specialize in, using WordPress. But what I did notice, I think it is this one, is this takes it through to a free website. Now this does look free, it's not astonishing in any way, but what it does do is it does mean also that if I click on here, you notice that down the bottom here it's a link through to that phone number. If I go to call now, again it's a link through, and these links are developed by Google themselves. So this is actually a Google website that Google provides. Get directions again is like get directions on the map. And this again is all here. So how do they do this? How do you get this free website? Well, as I mentioned, there's a link earlier that you can go to that will show you how you can build this for free. But if you do log into your Google My Business, then you'll see that there is a website area there as well, which you can develop for free. So let me just go there. Okay, so I'm logged into my Google My Business, and you notice there that on the left hand side I have a website. So if I click on this, and this is then my website here, which I can develop. It's got themes, it's got editing abilities, I can edit photos and so on. But what in effect you're doing is you're producing then an end product that comes out like this. So this call now, make an appointment, these go through, make an appointment goes through to my contact page on my website. But you can have different types of buttons. You can have one that just calls, like this phone number here. So 3 ways in which you can be found. You can go through website, you can go to the number, or you can go through directions, and all these things are pretty much covered. So as you update posts, you'll find that they show on here. If you've got offers as well, they show here. So pretty much your testimonials. So everything you've entered on Google My Business, it appears on this website, and it's free as well. So that's something that you may want to consider. There's my gallery of photos, my opening times, a call now button, which again would record anyone that contacts me through here, and I can go to different parts of the website as well, which just kind of show what people are saying and what they're doing and so on. So that gives you an idea of what that is. What you can do is you can just use that address there, and you could then put that as your website. So if we go back to a listing of some sort, so let's say for instance, so we go for Builders in Oxford. Builders in Oxford, we'll click on that, and here we got all these sorts of websites. And you notice there, if they don't have a website, then what they can do is they can just enter their website as that particular business site, which is free. So that does give them a website entry on here if they haven't got that. But it seems that most of these have got websites. Maybe the odd one or two won't, but I've not had a chance to look at that. So that gives you kind of an idea of how that works. So let's just recall, there are a few other things as well. We've seen, for instance, if you go for web designers do have the ability to add a quote button. I don't know if all industries can do this yet, but if we click on these, you get a request to quote button. So that's kind of, I think, a 4th way. So you've got your website, you've got directions, you've got request to quote, and you've got the phone number, which is on the website if you go to the website that Google provides. So those are kind of 4 ways, I think, now in which people can take actions through Google My Business. Other thing that I mentioned in a previous video is how that your website itself can actually affect your authority. So if you, for instance, link through to your Google My Business through to a website, and then vice versa. So this has got the website and for appointments, and if I go to here, there's the appointment page. All these types of things will have an effect on your particular listing. So if I look through to this one, we've got a contact page. So depending on the authority of your domain name, it can actually affect how you appear in the rankings as well. So one of the things I mentioned in a previous audit review on these is just to make sure that you also continue, as part of your effort to build up your Google My Business, is to continue to build up your website itself. And by adding information that's relevant, adding new posts, linking through to your Google My Business and vice versa, those things will start to give your Google My Business and your website some authority as well as you build the two together. So that's kind of really what I think, if I can leave that with you as something to consider, is building a website, going for the free one if you don't have one, making sure that you do have a website. There are lots of businesses that don't have websites, and if you need help in any way, then make sure you contact me. Now, take a look at these videos and you should find that one of these two is going to be really useful for you.